Should this be the last one? Let me know in the comments below. Coming up, what may be the last good year for mainstream music? I'm telling you, there are about 10 to 15 crappy songs for every great one. But don't worry, the 11 great ones in today's countdown could compete with most any year, including one where one of rock's greatest lyricists could not figure the song out. I mean, the music was perfect, the melody was there, but he was fighting horrible writer's block. Then he walked into the studio and it came to him right then and there. He walked right in and recorded it seconds later in one take. It became a classic. Then there was the last big hit by a 33-hit legend who at the age of 44 swore he was done with music. And sadly, it turns out to be true, but his last big one came in a dream, and then it was written in the shower. Then there was a massive 80s band that was written out by everybody in the new decade. In fact, their record label wouldn't even fully fund their album and didn't believe in it. But in the middle of grunge, they created a song so personal, it hit the top of the charts, and it still brings a tear to the eye, no matter what. Plus, there was a singer who recorded her greatest vocals, even though she was sick as a dog. And then there was the deceptively happy-go-lucky sing-along song that had a devastating secret that nobody understood until it was too late. It's a great countdown coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember trying to decide what flavor to get out of the 31 at Baskin-Robbins when you were a little kid, you're gonna dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. I know you'll find something to dig on this channel. Also, make sure to check out our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We have new stuff there. If you'll rate us and give us a comment there, we'd appreciate it. Well, as they say, all good things must come to an end. Today, we count down songs from the beginning of the end of great. Let's say, mainstream music I'm talking about. It was a year packed with turmoil. The Waco siege, a historic blizzard, and devastating floods all made headlines. It's also the first time the Twin Towers were attacked, before September 11th. Through all the chaos, though, some of the most unforgettable songs of the rock era were born. But it was truly a year of inconsistency in the top 40. In fact, when I was preparing for this countdown, I was driving and my wife was next to me and she had a copy of Joel Whitburn's book. I have a digital copy. I've got all of his books. It showed every song that hit the top 40 in 93. And you'd get one great song for every 10 or 15 bad ones. And it was hilarious hearing her repeat some of the titles of these songs from Whoop, There It Is. To What's Up, Doc, Can We Rock by Shaquille O'Neal. It's bad stuff. What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? Really, I Love You, period. Love you, period. But the ones that made today's countdown are just as great as any other year, especially the top 5. So let's get into it. Okay, the song that kicks off our countdown, it's a bit misleading. Comes off as a catchy, happy tune, but it's really a tale of misfortune by a band from Arizona that struggled to break through. Coming in at my number 11 spot, it's Hey Jealousy by Gin Blossoms. Hey Jealousy was written by ex-Gin Blossoms guitarist Doug Hopkins. He was in a really bad way, emotionally, when he wrote it, and his condition only got worse when the song propelled the band into the national spotlight. He ended up taking his own life. I actually talked to Robin Wilson and Jesse Valenzuela from the band. Here's what they told me. Hey, jealousy. Doug Hopkins wrote that in the late 80s.
Yeah, Doug had brought that song in to rehearsal about 4 days before we were going to Tucson to record Dusted. And Doug could sing, but he was embarrassed about his singing voice for some reason. He didn't want anybody else to hear him singing, so he took me in the bathroom at our rehearsal studio, and he showed me the song. And there were a couple of lines that he didn't quite finish, and he said, just put something in there. And he was so embarrassed trying to sing the song to me, he just showed me sort of the basics of it and said, just, try and sing it like that a little bit, and I did finish a couple of lines for him, but it was his masterstroke.
What does the song mean to you now, so many years later?
Well, it means everything. It was the song that made the big difference. And I've looked at the song a lot in the last couple of years, and it's so beautifully built, and it's a pretty simple song. There's just a few guitar chords and nothing tricky about it at all. But it's so perfectly crafted that you would think there's a lot more going on than there actually is.
I really truly believe that Gin Blossoms are one of the most underappreciated bands ever, especially the 90s. This was a number 4 mainstream rock track. It went to number 22 in the UK, number 20 in Iceland, and number 25 here on the Billboard Hot 100. New Miserable Experience was such a great album. Had so many great songs from it, you know, Till I Fall Away, Found Out About You. That may be in our next countdown. We'll see if we do a 94. Should we? Let me know. Coming in at number 10, I've got one of the final big hits for Tears for Fears, minus Kurt Smith. Let's break it down again. No More Sleepy Dreamin'. Lyrics by Roland Orzabal, and music, it was a collaboration between Roland and a guy named Alan Griffiths. The track deals with the conflicts inside many of us, such as self-doubt, as in the line, "You're always hiding from the light," and the pursuit to gain self-confidence, especially when Roland sings "Stand Tall Like a Man," and then shouts "Headstrong Like a Horse." Stand tall like a man, headstrong like a horse. My favorite lyrical sequence in Break It Down Again, and there are many, is during the last chorus. It's in the way you're always hiding from the light, fast off to heaven just like Moses on a motorbike. Fast off to heaven just like Moses on a motorbike. Only Roland, man. One of the greatest lyricists of his time. Like I said, one of the most notable facts about Break It Down Again is that Kurt Smith wasn't involved in the track at all. The song was released as a lead single from the album Elemental, and that was the first Tears for Fears record where Kurt wasn't a part of the recording process or the creative process. Instead, the song was written by Roland Orzabal, like I said, along with Alan Griffiths. Now, when it was recorded, it featured Roland with some of the band's other musicians and vocals from John Baker. Actually, he used to be in Graduate, the band Roland was in before TFF. It marked a bit of a turning point for TFF, showing a new direction for the duo without Kurt. I have to say it was a confusing time for me and for other Tears for Fears fans. We didn't want Roland without Kurt or Kurt without Roland. After their huge success in the 80s, things started to change for TFF, especially as the 90s rolled in. The band was facing some tough times behind the scenes. There was disagreements bubbling up more and more. And eventually in 1991, Kurt decided to step away from the project. It is time to dissolve. He did later reflect on it, saying that they were at odds on pretty much everything at that point. It was a rough transition for sure, marking the end of an era for the band as a duo. But this is such a great song. Break It Down Again was the last major hit, like I said, for TFF, with or without Kurt Smith. It went to the top 20 throughout Europe. Went to number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 here, and it was a number 1 track on the alternative rock chart. Gosh, what a great song. No more sleepy dreaming. Coming in at number 9 is the classic Runaway Train that helped solve actual crimes. We just covered this about a month ago in detail. Dave Pirner wrote this powerful song that came from debilitating depression. The music video was so powerful, it kind of overshadowed the song a bit. It was a call to action about finding missing people in the video. It's incredible how many people go missing for a variety of reasons, from foul play to just disappearing or leaving on their own. Runaway train, never going back. And of course, we had a conversation about this. I'll share just a little 30 seconds from that interview. It was a tough interview because you can tell that Dave was struggling at the time, but man, what a great song. And we love you, Dave. We're with you.
It was not the best time of my life. And you know, the song helped me sort of work through it and kind of trying to explain how I was feeling, I suppose. Help me remember how to smile. And I understand why people identify with it, and it makes me feel less crazy that people identify with it, and hopefully it makes them feel less crazy too. Seems like I should be getting somewhere.
Runaway Train was a number 1 smash in Lithuania, of all places. It's also number 1 in Canada. It was number 2 in many countries, including New Zealand and all of Scandinavia. On the Billboard Hot 100, it peaked at number 5. Such a great song.
Bought a ticket for a runaway train.
The countdown to the top 11 songs of 1993 rolls on with Toe the West Sprocket, Walk on the Ocean at number 8. From their incredible album Fear, just full of great songs. Toad's lead singer Glenn Phillips, he wrote Walk on the Ocean while enjoying a tropical vacation with his wife. Actually, Glenn gave me the details of this free-spirited gem. Here's what he told me. Walk on the Ocean, that's one that really, I've heard that kind of just came out of you. You didn't really think too much about it.
Lyrically, yeah. Once again, that was one that was Todd's music. We were recording a demo and was like, didn't want to sing. No, just write something. And I just went out and took 15 minutes and that was it.
Walk on the ocean. Step on.
Nonsensical chorus and, vaguely narrative verse.
Packed up all things. Said with sand.
It's great how you do it live, how you just start out with the lyric with spot, just going into that. It was interesting to hear that change up.
Body the ocean.
Fear was a platinum album for Glenn Phillips and Toe the West Sprocket, and Walk on the Ocean, that was the 4th single from the LP, landing at number 10 in Norway, number 22 in Canada, and number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Walk on the ocean.
We covered All I Want in last year's Countdown, 92. I think the best song from Fear, though, might be I Will Not Take These Things for Granted. Just a great album. Go check it out.
I will not take these things for granted.
All right, coming in at number 7 on our top 11 in 93. Haters are going to hate on this one. It is a pop song, but I've got to go with the incomparable Whitney Houston with I Have Nothing from the Bodyguard motion picture soundtrack. Let's not get into a debate about pop music here. If you don't want to see this, skip forward, but I'll tell you, Whitney slays it on this song. Might be my favorite performance by her, and there are so many. I Have Nothing is mind-blowing with soaring vocals and emotional intensity that only Whitney can do. The song was written by David Foster, Linda Thompson, and Jerry Cohen. Linda wrote most of the lyrics. She tapped into what she felt when she had a romantic relationship with a king, Elvis Presley. This began after the King's separation from Priscilla from 72 to 76. The structure of the song was designed to showcase Whitney's incredible vocal range and ability to convey deep vulnerability that tied in well with the theme of The Bodyguard, the movie that Whitney starred in with Kevin Costner, and it worked to the nines, man.
Hold it back again, this passion inside, I can't run.
As great as this song is, it almost didn't make it into the movie or into the soundtrack. Now, Whitney Houston had agreed to record 6 songs that would be used in the movie. David Foster, who also produced and worked closely with Whitney on other hits, really struggled to find the right song that could really match her grandeur, her voice, and the film's emotional depth. And he wrote I Have Nothing specifically with Whitney in mind, aiming to create a song that would highlight her ability to blend vulnerability with all of her strengths. That was truly one of her gifts, and he wanted to convey that perfectly. Another fascinating fact is that Whitney recorded the vocals for this song and a few others on the Bodyguard soundtrack in just a few takes, and she did it when she was recovering from a nasty cold. They actually feared the cold would delay the project altogether. It was a demonstration of Whitney's true professionalism as an artist. Those who worked with her said that she was absolutely committed in the studio, especially here. She didn't let anything get in the way. The song's arrangement was carefully designed to build gradually with a dramatic show-stopping ending where Whitney hits her iconic high note that became a signature moment in her career. I Have Nothing rose to number 3 in the UK, went to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and in Canada, it made it all the way to number 1. Coming in at number 6 on the countdown of the top 11 and 93, I got the Stone Temple Pilots STP with Plush, one of the defining tracks of the grunge era. These guys always got compared with Pearl Jam, and it was a bad comparison because this is really the only song where he kind of sounds like Eddie Vedder. STP is one of the best bands, very underappreciated. Now, Plush was certainly a byproduct of lead singer Scott Weiland's own experiences with addiction and his personal demons. But Plush actually came from a real story. It was based off the kidnapping and killing of Carmine Chan in a suburb of Melbourne, Australia. It's actually been misreported the song was based off a crime in San Diego. It's not true. The band read about it. Carmine was only 13, and she was kidnapped by her abductor while she and her two younger sisters were left at home alone for just a few hours on one night. Now, she wasn't found by search and rescue dogs, as the song implies, rather by a resident walking their dog who smelled her remains. Really sad. Authorities originally believed that it was a serial attacker who had kidnapped her based upon an FBI profile and other leads, but after reviewing her autopsy, most investigators no longer believe that that's true. Since I can't say the M word on this platform, I'll have to use a different word here, but her life was taken execution style that resembled retribution. This would match the graffiti that was left on the parents' car in the driveway, which investigators originally thought was a ruse to mislead the police. There was no justice for Chan. Her villain, nicknamed Mr. Cruel, was never found. So they wrote it about in the song. Now, the bass intro for Plush was actually one of those happy accidents. During the recording, bassist Robert DeLeo played a bass line that was initially meant to be a placeholder. But, the band loved it how it set up the dark, hypnotic tone of the song, so they just kept it. The song's riff and melody contributed significantly to its heavy airplay success and helped the band win a Grammy Award for Best Hard Rock Performance in '94. Scott Weiland co-wrote Plush with STB drummer Eric Kretz. Scott and Eric wrote the song together when they were sitting in a hot tub at the Oakwood Apartments in North Hollywood after reading about that story. It was the #1 track of mainstream rock and number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100. Fans in Iceland really dug Plush, leading to a #5 finish on the singles chart in that country. Iceland, they like cool music. Buzzing in at #5 on their top 11 songs of '93 countdown, I've got a great one. No Rain by Blind Melon. With a music video that featured a 10-year-old girl in a bee costume. It's easily one of the most instantly recognizable songs and iconic music videos of all time. It instantly blew up radio and MTV. And though this bright and quirky tune, it's a happy-go-lucky sing-along classic for sure, but underneath the catchiness is a secret sadness. Truth is, it's much more bitter than sweet. In its time, the song became so overhyped that lead singer Shannon Hoon hated singing it. And its success became one in a series of events that led him down a path of personal destruction. So it all started with their bass player, a guy named Brad Smith, who wrote the song even before the band came together. Brad had recently moved from Mississippi to Los Angeles chasing a dream, but what he found was much different, and he fell into a deep funk. Now, Brad once confided that No Rain is really about those days when you just can't get out of bed. You can't pull yourself out. You find yourself making endless excuses to avoid facing anyone. You don't want to face the world. It's about that feeling of having nothing left inside, but you're still trying to push through.
I like watching the puddles gathering.
And at the time, Brad was dating a girl who's battling depression. She'd sleep through sunny days and complain when it rained, pretty much living in her own cloudy world. Brad thought he was writing the song from her perspective, imagining what she was going through. But as he reflected more, he realized something else. No Rain was also about his own struggles. It was about all of our struggles, really.
Don't understand why I sleep all day.
That mix of empathy, that personal pain, and that desire for hope is what gave the song its universal power. And when it finally hit the airwaves, it became an anthem for anyone who's ever felt stuck or lost, or that they just can't face the day.
All I can do is read a book to stay awake.
Now, the music video for No Rain, of course, one of the most memorable of the MTV era, with 10-year-old Heather DeLoach dancing around in that bee costume. Now, Heather auditioned for the role in the video and was chosen because she looked a lot like the younger sister of Blind Melon's drummer Glenn Graham, and they loved it. The first time Brad Smith ever sang No Rain in public was when he was busking on a busy street in Venice Beach. And when Brad and Blind Melon recorded the track, well, that's when it really took off. It was the late Shannon Hoon's sad falsetto that made the song stand out from anything on radio, from any decade, really. And inside his performance, there was a cry for help that no one could hear until it was too late. No Rain stalled at number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it was a number one track at Alternative, and it was number one at Album Rock, and it went to number one in Canada. Sadly, Shannon Hoon died of an overdose on October 21st, 1995. Whenever I listen to No Rain, and it's part of almost all my playlists, it makes my heart ache that Shannon Hoon is no longer with us. I know him through interviews, and he seemed like such an innocent soul who was ravaged by a monstrous addiction that nobody should ever judge. I mean, like all of us, he was trying to cope. You can hear that in the lyrics that he sings, and they're so catchy but undeniably sad. When he sings and it rips my life away, but it's a great escape, and then especially when he sings It's Not Sane. It's not sane. He was battling.
It's not sane.
It's absolutely present in the way that he sings. I just want someone to say to me, I'll always be here when you wake. And then again, with So Stay With Me and I'll Have It Made. The most devastating part of this is that Shannon was clean for so long before he eventually succumbed. I just hope that wherever Shannon Hoon is, that he knows how much his music has meant to us, the kids of Gen X. With Blind Melon's music, we really had it made. I miss it so much. I listen to that kind of music that it's just happy-go-lucky song that's so sad, but it's so joyful to sing. I'm sorry. I'm getting wrapped up. Telling you, this top 5 is so good. All right, landing at number 4 on our top 11 of 93, I've got R.E.M. with Man on the Moon. Let me tell you a story about Man on the Moon. The song was inspired by the late comedian Andy Kaufman, that much we all know, a figure who left a lasting impression on lead singer Michael Stipe. As a teenager, Michael saw Kaufman perform on SNL, Saturday Night Live, and that moment just stuck with him. Andy Kaufman became a huge influence and a symbol of unpredictability and rebellion against conventionalism for sure. When it came time to write Man on the Moon, though, the band's process was a mix of improvisation and intuition. Peter Buck recalls in the liner notes for Part Lies, Part Heart, Part Truth, and Part Garbage, 1982 to 2011. He talked about how the music came together. Bill Berry had a simple chord change, C to D. He wasn't sure what to do with it. But Buck, often the finishing touch for these riffs, took the chord progression and added the chorus and bridges. By the time they played it for Michael, it was pretty much complete.
Monopoly 21, checkers and chess.
Peter remembers that Bill played bass, Buck himself played guitar, and they even might have added some mandolin during the rehearsals at that point, just for a little experimental flavor.
Now, Andy, did you hear about this one?
However, the lyrics, that was a different story. Michael Stipe had severe writer's block at this point, and with an album deadline looming, time was running out and he was feeling the pressure. Instead of grinding away in the studio, though, the band took a few days off. And during that time, Michael listened to the track repeatedly on a cassette in his rental car, searching for that spark of inspiration. Then one day, he walked into the studio and he sang Man on the Moon one time.
If you believe they put a man on the moon.
He walked in, knew he had it, recorded it, and then he walked out. According to Peter, everybody was stunned. It was a moment of pure magic, one of those rare instances when something just clicks. That single performance captured the song's spirit, and it's resonated with fans ever since, immortalizing Andy Kaufman's legacy and the impetus for the biopic of the same name about Andy starring Jim Carrey that would later come. Of course, Jim Carrey was another big admirer of Andy Kaufman. And it went to number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100. It should have been a number 1 hit, let's be clear. Even my dad loved the song, and he didn't like modern music at this point. Getting into the top stretch of our top 11 songs of 93 countdown, I've got The River of Dreams, the title track from Billy Joel's 12th and final studio album, at number 3. It wasn't just a random title for a song, though. The River of Dreams actually appeared to Billy in a dream. First, he was confused, wondering why this gospel-inspired melody was suddenly in his mind. He said, and I quote, "I thought, who the hell am I to try to pull off this gospel song?" Billy tried to get rid of the song that he awakened with. He took a shower and tried to literally wash the song out of his head. But while he lathered up, he kept singing the song to himself, and that's when he realized he was compelled to do this song. He wrote it right there in his mind. He just couldn't get the song out of his head. Billy wasn't supposed to ignore the song. It was a powerful gift that he was destined to record and became his last big hit. Billy explained that the lyric, "walking in his sleep," that was inspired by the dream, where he was literally walking in his sleep, which sparked that line. He also mentioned that the phrase River of Dreams is a clever play on words, a twist on stream of consciousness, blending his dream imagery with a poetic metaphor. And all of that came to him in the shower. I love it when you write. He's probably even writing it on the glass there. Now, do you remember this? River of Dreams was nominated for a Grammy Award for Record of the Year and many others in 94. It didn't win. That went to Whitney Houston and I Will Always Love You. But Billy Joel performed the song live at the ceremony, and in a surprising move, he suddenly stopped singing in the middle of his performance. And then he took a moment to voice his protest, calling out the fact that Frank Sinatra's Lifetime Achievement speech earlier that night had been cut off. Remember, he looked at his watch and he joked that valuable advertising time was being lost because of him making this pause. It was a bold and memorable moment that made headlines and showed Billy's passion for respecting his musical heroes.
Valuable advertising time going by.
Little tip of the hat to the chairman of the board. River of Dreams was the best charting single of the 90s for Billy Joel. It actually gave him his third straight decade with a top 3 hit. Ruled at number 1 in Australia and Canada and New Zealand, and in the UK and the US it went to number 3. His album hit number 1, and at the age of 44, after 33 hits and a lot of number 1 albums, he vowed to stop writing contemporary music. It's a vow he's kept for almost 35 years. We're doing a countdown of the top 11 of 93, and many of these songs would rank in the top 11 for any year of the rock era, especially my song at the bridesmaid position, Ordinary World by Duran Duran. Ordinary World was the closing chapter of a heartfelt trilogy by the band. The song isn't just a standalone hit, it's the emotional culmination of a deeply personal journey for lead singer Simon Le Bon. Back in 1986, Simon lost his close friend David Miles, and the pain of that loss shaped this trilogy. Now, the first song in the trilogy was a song called Do You Believe in Shame? That set the tone with its raw reflection of guilt and sorrow. And that was followed by Out of My Mind. This expressed the overwhelming grief and confusion that Simon felt after the loss of his friend. And then came Ordinary World, a poignant ballad that captures the aching hope of trying to carry on despite this heartbreak.
Still I can't escape the ghost of you.
Man, Simon's vocal performance on Ordinary World is absolutely spectacular. The realism behind the song that Simon projects is so authentic, it gives me chills every time, a tear to the eye.
But I won't cry for yesterday.
And what a comeback. I mean, do you remember this? Pretty much everyone wrote Duran Duran off after the 80s, especially after their 1990 album Liberty failed to catch on and had no real hits. Their label wouldn't even give them the full money to make another record. That's when Simon Le Bon, John Taylor, Nick Rhodes, and newcomer Warren Cucurullo, they combined to write one of the greatest songs ever. And they came back fiercely in the middle of the grunge era when music had completely changed. So for years, Simon was somewhat evasive about what exactly inspired the lyrics of the song, keeping the true source under wraps. I'm sure because it was painful to talk about. But eventually, in a 2004 interview, he opened up and revealed that the song was directly inspired by his mourning and the struggle to find normalcy again after losing his friend. It's a song born from grief, but also from the resilience to move forward, making it one for the ages. Also, Duran Duran wasn't known for their ballads, but prior to Ordinary World, they had some great ones. I mean, Save a Prayer, what a song. But in the early 90s, like I said, the music biz regarded Duran Duran as Pretty Boy New Wave, a band that was a relic of the 80s, along with a lot of other bands. In fact, their label, Capitol Records, was pretty unsure about how Ordinary World would go over with pop radio in the 90s, so they tested the song in 2 stations in Florida. The response from listeners was massive, so they released it as a single, and it blew up. And the breathtaking guitar by Warren, it enhanced an already emotional classic. Ordinary World was an international smash for Duran Duran. It was the biggest song in Europe for over a month, while owning the singles charts in many other countries, including the UK and Italy. It's #1 in Canada, went all the way to #3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Love it. All right, before we reveal the song that I chose as the cream of the crisp in '93, I got a couple of honorable mentions that I have to recognize that would have made the charts on any other day. I got No Ordinary Love by Sade. It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube with that clever sample of Footsteps in the Dark by the Isley Brothers.
I gotta say it was a good day.
And I Don't Want to Fight by the late, great Tina Turner, an emotional vocal there. We're at that moment. We're going to crown another song at the top of the countdown of timeless music. #1 song for 1993. Gives me goosebumps to even say it. Fields of Gold by Sting is at #1.
As we walk in fields of gold.
Fields of Gold, the quiet masterpiece that's become one of Sting's most beloved and personal songs. And that's saying something because he's written so many great songs. One of these struggles to perform in front of a live audience. I'll get to that in a second with Sting himself. Sting found himself captivated by the simple, breathtaking beauty of a barley field near his new home in England. He described his house as a place with designated retreats where he could focus on his music. The property included a recording studio, a wine cellar, and an organic farm, according to Wilshire Live. It was a cathartic departure from the chaos of being a rock star. Each evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, the fields would glow with a golden hue, casting a warm, shimmering light that seemed to dance just for him. The vibrant colors of that sunset painted the landscape in shades of amber and fire, filling Sting's heart with a profound sense of joy and wonder that, of course, he was going to put into a pop song.
See the west wind move like a lover's soul.
In those precious, tranquil moments, Sting felt an overwhelming happiness, an almost magical feeling of being alive, just connected to something greater than himself. But beneath this radiant joy lingered a quiet awareness that such perfect moments, like the shimmering fields, they're fleeting. They shimmer brightly, only to fade with time. That bittersweet truth inspired Sting to write Fields of Gold. It was a reflection of those fleeting moments of happiness, a celebration of love and life's true beauty. At the time, he was deeply in love with Trudy Styler, whom he would marry in 1992. Trudy's presence added another layer of meaning to the song, a reminder that even in the fleeting glow of joy, love remains an important, enduring gift.
Will you stay with me? Will you be my love?
Fields of Gold, it's resonated with me from the first time I heard it. Become a grounding track for me whenever I need to take things down a notch and just concentrate on what really matters. Those radiant moments with family and friends and experiencing nature and all of the elements, the majesty that surrounds. Whenever we walk outside and see the mountains, I live here in Utah, so I see that. And I don't mean to get all deep and mushy, but I mean, Fields of Gold is a song like that.
Goes down among the fields of gold.
It was from 10 Summoners Tells Wasn't a super smash on the Billboard charts. It went to number 23. It was a number 1 hit at AC, Adult Contemporary. Went to number 2 in Canada. It's just an atmospheric track that the greatest would have been proud of. I mean, this is something that George and Ira Gershwin would be like, that's a great song. It's a standard, which is what Sting has done so many times. It's just got an eternal cinematic resonance that makes it very, very important. A very important recording for the rock era. And here's what Sting told me about Fields of Gold.
It's very much in a British folk tradition. We're talking about tradition, talking about things that just keep happening, the cycle of life. And I think in modern people, you forget that our very close ancestors lived exactly the same way that grandparents did or their great-grandparents did. And we're in this other, we don't know what's going to happen to us next year, or what life's going to be like in 6 to 7 years. But our recent ancestors didn't have that anxiety. They were going to do the same thing. They were going to bring in that barley every year. They were going to plant that barley every year. So the song Fields of Gold is about continuity. That's the word I was looking for.
As we walk in fields of gold.
The continuity of love through mortality.
That last payoff, you'll remember me when the west wind moves on the fields of barley. And, you can tell the sun is jealous sky that when we walked in fields of gold.
Sky, when we walked in fields of gold.
So he does keep that promise in the end. And
I'm getting a little bit verklempt here. I'm tearing up here because I sing these songs often, and I have to stop myself thinking about what they really mean, because otherwise I get trapped here and I can't sing. So when I hear somebody else say them back to me, I'm allowed to get a little bit misty-eyed.
Oh, man. Cinema of the mind. That's what Fields of Gold is. I love this song. What do you think of the top 10, top 11 of 93? Did I miss anything? What do you think? Scour the charts. There were 150 songs that were top 40 hits in 1993, and only about 20 that, maybe 30 that are listenable. I'm being a little bit of a what do you call it? A snob. Thank you. I'm forgetting my words. But, it's true. Should we go into 94? Should we go into 95? 95 is where I feel like we fell off a cliff after 95. So let me know. Should we do 94? Let's have a great discussion. What are your memories of these songs? Where do you think I missed? What do you think we should add? What do you think we should do? Let's have a great discussion below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.